All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Real Estate Wholesaling Analysis. My name is Elton, like Elton John. I'll be your host for today once again in terms of this real estate wholesale analysis. If you happen to be new here, welcome to the real estate wholesale analysis, where we analyze some properties live to see what makes it a deal. If there are some deals out there in all markets, we don't just specifically pick one market. We try to analyze all different markets every single time, so that way we're not just picking any random places at all whatsoever. If you're happen to be coming back again, thank you for coming back. I really appreciate it. The series does get hosted every Sunday and Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you happen to miss the recordings, the sessions or the live events, the live events do get recorded and they're available on my website at eltonvargas.com if you want to go ahead and rewatch the whole live event all over again. But other than that, let's just go down really quick to see how what expectations you guys should be expecting from this live analysis. We're going to be walking through a few key points of a presentation really quick, so that way you guys can, if you happen to be new in terms of like real estate wholesaling, understand what it takes when it comes to like analyzing some deals. Then we're going to dive into the actual live analysis. If you happen to have like a county or an address of a property that you want me to analyze, by all means, you can drop that address or the county in the chat. There is a link to um, where you guys can have access to some of the educational stuff that I have on my website. I did drop the link on the chat, and so you guys have access to that whatsoever. And additionally, too, if you have like any other questions, you can always message me on um real on meetup.com as well too. If you happen to have like any questions, but we do have access to a Q&A after the whole analysis. So that way you guys, if you have any specific questions or anything that you want me to retouch the basis on, by all means you can ask questions through the Q&A anytime as well too. And if there's enough people left there, I do create like a breakout room, so that way if you want to network with other investors, wholesalers, lenders, whoever it is that attends these events, then by all means you guys are able to network as well too. But other than that, let's just dive into the presentation really quick. So first things first, when it comes to real estate wholesaling, there are a multitude of steps to go through. Biggest one, of course, is getting properties. Either you're doing inbound marketing or you're doing some type of outbound marketing. Both are going to be either you're spending time or you're going to spend some money. But the main focus of this series is mainly the estimated repairs and how to calculate those offers. So that way it makes sense for not only for yourself, but also for your end buyer as well too. And when it comes to like end buyers, it's going to be very different for all of them. And so it is really good to understand how your buyers buy at the end of the day, which leads to the next topic and the first foundation of it all, which is the ARV. The ARV, as the word says it, is after repair value, and basically determines what the property's worth once it gets fully fixed up. And the whole goal of the ARV is to understand and look for similar properties in the area to determine how much the property can go for once it gets fully fixed up. That's pretty much it. Now, with the way investors calculate a lot of these numbers, it's really good for you to understand how a lot of your end buyers calculate a lot of their offers. Especially if you start building like a list of buyers as well too, it's going to be really challenging to keep a track of all those offers. But as long as you have like a minimum, who's going to be bringing like the lowest offer, who's always going to bring like the lowest offer, they just have that formula set with you, and then who's willing to pay the most for our property, have that formula set, and everybody is probably going to be in between those two numbers. So when it comes to analyzing for investors, again, it's really good for you to ask a lot of questions, how active they are, and understand their formulas, because not all investors are going to be calculating a lot of the numbers down the same whatsoever. They have experiences, they have already a lot of strong relationships where they're able to bring a lot of the costs down. So that's there's going to be a lot of key things that are going to help them identify what makes it a deal for them as well too. And of course, constantly be on top of them, so that way you can determine if they're A investor, B investor, C investor, depending on how active they like to be from there. Now, the next thing, which it says it on the word, after repairs, you have to understand repairs a little bit. Nothing too crazy. I don't spend a lot of time on a lot of repairs. I like to focus more on how many things am I looking at. If I'm looking at a lot of pictures, especially if you're virtually wholesaling, it really comes down to like I can't really travel to each single state, each single city, each single place that I'm looking at to wholesale virtually. So it's really possible for you to analyze what a property needs in terms of repairs. Now, what an investor will do to the project, that's a whole different story, and that's why I don't like to spend a lot of time on over analyzing how much the property needs in terms of repairs, because at the end of the day, it's a plus or minus numbers in terms of repairs. So if I'm looking at a project that needs very light repairs, these are going to be projects that are either properties that are very well maintained, properties that are rental properties as well too. They're going to need very light stuff as well too. Now, the average repairs, which is the most common thing for a fix and flipper, these are things that are where you're going to start doing some projects in a lot of heavy or a lot of main areas of the home. A lot of those main areas are going to be like the kitchen, the bathroom, the flooring, paint, maybe doors, maybe windows, maybe some outside painting as well too, maybe some landscaping, maybe some lighting or electrical panels as well too, and maybe additionally some water heaters, HVAC, any other details that the property needs, so that way we can bring it up to 2024 standards. Those are the things that the property needs in terms of like average repairs. The cost for these are going to be 25 to like $40 per square foot. Now the heaviest one is going to be what's called a gut job repair, and the gut job repair is going to be two things. Either you demolish the whole property and start all over again, new construction type of property, or you will take down everything that the property has internally, just leave the studs, and then you can start all over with that route as well too. So usually with these gut job repairs are going to be very expensive, additionally too, and then sometimes there's always going to be that extra heavy stuff that is going to be really expensive, like the foundation or even additionally plumbing as well too. Now looking back to the repairs overall, how much they cost per each. Light repairs 10 to 20, average repairs 25 to 40, and then gut job repairs 45 to like 60. If you happen to be like on cities that are very heavy populated, like California, or even just expensive cities. California is one, just overall the state is really expensive. Washington or Seattle, Texas, Austin, Dallas, Miami, freaking New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, some parts of like Chicago as well too. Some of these cities and states are going to be very expensive in terms of like the labor and maybe some materials as well too. So usually for these, I like to add $15 to $20 more per square foot if you happen to be living in some of those um, heavy populated cities as well too, or cities that are very very expensive just overall. Looking into when we try to determine what makes a deal into it, we have to look at similar properties that have been sold in the area, and I like to look at different timeframes as well too, which I'll touch bases on that in a few seconds. But the first thing we want to look is when we're looking at those comps to find the ARV, is look at similar properties or look for apples to apples. Is first things first, we want to make sure that we're looking at a similar property that is plus or minus 300 square feet in the living space. Some properties have a basement. I usually don't really count like the basement at all whatsoever. The basement is just like the extra space down there. Some houses that do have basements, they have like a full basement. It just basically looks like another apartment down there. Some of them have like a half a basement. So again, it's really up to like the investor if they like to upgrade a lot of those, or if it's in the area that a lot of those homes that have basements, they get the basement gets updated, then it's just something to consider to bring extra value to the upcoming homeowners or who's going to be ever buying the property to live in. Next is the square footage of the lots. If you happen to come across a property where there's acres involved, a quarter of an acre, half, 1, 3, 10, 40 acres. You want to compare those acres into it. You can't really compare just the property into place. You're going to come across a lot of these in a lot of the Midwest states. looking at those comps as well too, is you want to stick within a certain radius. It's not by law that you want to just stick with this by this radius. You can go outside of it, maybe 2 miles, 3 miles. The only thing is the further you start going out, you have to make some price adjustments because you are going to be targeting and hitting other neighborhoods. And when it comes to looking for comps, you want to look within the same neighborhood where your property is located, because literally it can be just a few blocks away. It could be a whole different neighborhood whatsoever. It could be a B neighborhood, C or D neighborhood as well too, or it could be just a heavier, more expensive, greater neighborhood like an A neighborhood as well too. So it really depends. So again, you are able to go further out, but just make some price adjustments from there. And what's going to be blocking some of these extending past the half-mile to 1 mile radius is going to be heavy traffic roads. And a lot of these heavy traffic roads or double yellow line roads are going to be basically splitting up the neighborhoods. These are going to be constantly roads flowing of traffic in terms of commuters, buses, delivery trucks, semi trucks, construction trucks, you name it. Also highways and freeways. If it's like an overpass over freeway, I wouldn't cross out whatsoever, because an appraiser, when the appraiser is going to be checking it out, they stick within the same neighborhood. They don't go past a freeway to be like, oh, there's a similar property that just sold 2 months ago, and I'm gonna use that as a comp. And if they do, same thing like I was mentioning, price adjustment, just because it's going to be a whole different area that they're going to be looking into, but most of the time they really don't. Next one is sticking to the same years. This one is comes on the last episode. It was a little bit challenging. We were looking, I forgot what city was it? It was somewhere over here in California. We were looking at it, and a lot of the comps that we came across, we were looking at a 1963 home. A lot of the comps were 1995, 2004, 2006, 1920s, but no 1960s properties whatsoever. I'm going to be pulling those comps because they're recently done projects. The only thing is I have to make some price adjustments with that as well too. So whenever you're looking at the property, make sure that you're looking for comps in similar age as well too. And whenever you want to pull comps, you want to get at least three to five comps, and they can be in different time frames, and they can be in different shapes, because depending on how the condition of sorry, I'm not shapes, different conditions. The reason they can be in different conditions is because you want to determine like how active our property and how constantly our property is similar to yours in the same condition as yours are going for or went for if they have already sold in the past. So you want to look both at the good and the bad, so that way you can determine what's going to be the most reasonable price point based on your property. But when we're looking at these price points, I was mentioning, you want to look at different time frames. And what I mean by different time frames is you don't want to just look for recently sold properties. Recently sold is really good, but you also want to look. Recently sold tells you what's happened in the past. What's happening right now in the present is properties that are pending or in the contract. So that's going to be a whole different time frame as well too. And then properties that are just active and still for sale and they haven't sold at all whatsoever, those are properties that are future based, that are going to be selling in the future or will sell in the future eventually, if they happen to be selling at all whatsoever. So those are three different times that I like to look to see how active that neighborhood is in terms of either the property getting fixed and flipped, or are a lot of properties selling as is, and how much who's the lowest one at the as is price point based on the condition of that I'm looking into my property. And so if you have more questions about that, we'll touch bases in just a little bit so I can clarify more. But if you have any questions, again, we do have that Q&A later on. So let's dive into it really quick and start looking for some properties. If you if you happen to have like a property or a county that you want me to analyze, something that we haven't touched the last episode we did California. So if you guys pick anything outside of California, that'll definitely be great. But let me pull this up. If you guys don't happen to have any specific cities or anything like that whatsoever.
Can you do somewhere in Seattle?
Seattle. Where in Seattle?
Shoreline, Linwood area.
I'm sorry?
Shoreline or Linwood area.
What's the county?
King County.
King County. All right, cool. Let's go here.
Thank you.
Where does the share button go? Cool. Let's set it up. King County. King County, Washington. All right, let's check it out. So part of it too, I know Seattle. That's the only thing too. So whenever I'm looking at into counties or cities that I don't know whatsoever, and that's the very first thing that when it comes to like wholesaling or just investing overall, is you want to analyze the market. So the very first thing that you want to do when it comes to like analyzing like the market. Let me see if I have this. Give me a second. Let me pull this up. The very first thing that you want to do is you want to analyze the market, see like what makes this market really good. What kind of price points am I going to be looking into as well too, and that's going to be. I can pull this thing to here. Let's see if this works. Awesome. Okay, cool. So the first thing that you want to do is analyze like the market. And the way I like to analyze it, especially if I don't know how much properties are going for and what will be like a good deal for me, is first thing first, what I like to do is go through Zillow. So Zillow has this great amount of information. So that way you can determine what the properties go for or what the potential ARV is on a specific market that I'm looking into. So for example, right now we're checking out King County in Washington. So Zillow, even Redfin does it as well too. If you guys continue scrolling past all the properties, you go to head over to all this data information over here of nearby King County city homes. So these are going to be the price points of how much properties are going for. And it is a mix of currently fully updated properties to crap properties as well too. So it's a mix of that. But what I like to do whenever I'm analyzing a property, especially in a market that I don't know, is all I want to do is confirm. So if I'm looking at, if you happen to come across a property in Bellevue, Washington, that I see that a lot of properties are going for 1.4, I want to ask myself, can the subject property that I'm looking for or the property that needs a lot of repairs, how much is it? How much are they asking for? And can it sell for $1.4 million once it gets fixed up? So that's what I like to do with this information. And what I like to do addition with this information too is not just and these are some of the other cities. Who was it? It was Naperville, the last city that we analyzed. Oh, we did Washington as well too, Pierce County, Washington. But what I like to do is I like to paste this information into my CRM. And then what the left side tells me is basically the potential ARV. And then what the right side is going to do, it's a pretty simple formula, determines based on the strategy. If I'm looking for a lot of fix and flip properties, it's going to be, I like to buy them at 70% or at 70 cents on the dollar or less. And then if I'm looking for a buy and hold, it's going to be at 80% or 80 cents on the dollar or less. So I'm looking for a lot of fix and flip type of properties right now in King County, and the price is going to get adjusted over here on what kind of offers I should be looking for to submit. I can look at the bigger number over here at the bottom, which is going to be basically the whole county. That's why I like to look at overall county price points. So I can determine like how much do all the cities combine go for overall. And it looks like the average price point that can the ARV for a lot of the homes in King County can resell for $1.1 million. So I got to look for properties that are fix and flips type of deals that are worth $800,000 or less. And we're going to be finding some of these. So we'll go through it really quick. And then I'm going to be setting those filters really quick so I can see what we're able to find. And depending on what city, because again, depending on what city, we have to confirm can they actually go for the potential ARV. So first things first is the price point. Anything over $800,000 or less. I'm looking for houses, and I like to look for houses that are at least 1,000 square feet and higher. When it comes to other investors, some of them are very picky in terms of like the years. They don't like nothing older than 1940s at all whatsoever, 1930s, 1960s. So that's the only thing too when it comes to like filtering and looking for subject properties, especially when you start building a relationship with buyers that are very active. They're gonna be very picky in things like that. So just be aware. So far, based on those three things, the price point, the type of homes, and the square footage, there was about things like 3,700. Now it came down to 374,000, 374 results. So now I got to go through all these and then see which ones are good in terms of fixing and flipping. And the last thing I want to do is I want to go for lowest to highest, because I want to see what's the lowest property, where is it located, as well too. I don't want to look for anything. I like to stick to where there's the heaviest population, like this $400,000 property over here in Bering, Washington. That's a little bit too far out. It might be good for like the winter time if it like snows over there. I know it's definitely snows out there as well too in the mountains. So that's something to consider to like a getaway home, but I like to stick more in the metro area whatsoever. So let's check some of these properties out and see what we're able to find. This one, let's see. Where is it located though? Did it pop up on the map? So we have this one in Ravensdale. Ooh, a little bit too far out. Okay. Let me zoom in a little bit more so that way I can stick to just these. Let's see. When you usually see these type of like AI generated type of homes, these are gonna be probably like new construction, or a designer that just or a agent that just is providing like what the whole neighborhood can look for. The only thing is, can the neighborhood accept this type of project? And usually that's not really worth the time to look into. Oh, so we have two properties right over here. This one is in Kent, Washington, and I have this one in Black Diamond, right off the edge of the city. And the only reason I like these two is look at how long they've been sitting on the market: 241 days and 158 days. Now, there are some green flags and some red flags about these. Green flag is it's been sitting on the market, so there's a potential that the seller's motivated to even negotiate past even lower than this. The only thing is, I gotta check out how much properties are going for in Kent, Washington, and how much can I actually resell for. And same thing with Black Diamond, Washington. The property has been sitting for a while, so the seller might be really motivated to like selling at this point, because the property has not been selling for almost for more than 6 months, and then this one almost 6 months. So and the property, this one in Black Diamond's really big as well too, 2,000 square feet. But the only thing is, I gotta go back to my research and then see how much a lot of these properties can go for. So Black Diamond, it's telling me that the property can potentially resell for 778, which is really good. If you look at the numbers, the property so far right now is listed at 450. So 450 divided by that 778, was it? 778, or let's go to even 780. 780 right now, the property is selling at 50 cents on the dollar. So far it's really good. And for me, I'm like to be very aggressive, so I can push a little bit more. I'll probably push it to like 40, 45 cents on the dollar, to make it even a bigger deal out of my side. Not just on my side, but also for my end buyer, because my end buyer is definitely going to be looking for a deal as well too. The only thing is, I got to find out how much can I push it for. So that one looks really good so far, and I like it how big it is. And just telling by the neighborhood, the house right next to it as well too, I can tell that this is probably like a really good area. Maybe a lot of retirement. I just don't know this whole area whatsoever, but it just looks really good. The property, let's check it out internally though. What does it actually need? So it definitely needs some siding updates, some coloring outside, and internally it does look like a gut job type of property, but nothing too crazy. I got a feeling this is probably like a 1930s, 1920s home. Where's the information? What year is this? What year? What year? What year? What year? Oh, 1900s. So even older. Is it older than that? Major model in 1900. So I think it's older because it looks like major model was done in 1900. But this looks really good internally. It's a full repair internally. Kitchen, flooring, paints, windows, um, maybe electrical as well too. We talk about 1900s. I don't know what kind of electricity and wires that are running on through here, but we got to update into 2024 standards, especially for the state of Washington as well too. Bring new appliances. as well too. Bathroom most likely. Yeah, this looks like a good job repair just by looking at this. Whatsoever. Probably most likely like the roof. The roof's gonna be a major expense to this as well too. We're probably growing some wine, if anything. Um, but yeah, this looks like a really yeah. I'm glad I took a picture of the roof. Doesn't look too bad, and I don't see any holes in it except for like this tree is blocking it. I don't know what's going on over here besides like there's mold. So honestly, it's just a power wash and get some bleach and just wash the roof if anything. It just depends if there's like any major holes in the area and really big lot as well too. So this is one of those scenarios. Nice view as well too, but the house is not that tall. But this is probably gonna be one of those properties where we have to analyze the acres because I got a feeling just how they took a pic. The agent put the layout of the lot size. So this is one of those subject properties where we have to analyze lots comparable to another lot as well too, and we're talking about 1 acre as well too. So let me pull this thing. And I like this property overall. A great area. Again, it's 50 cents, 57 cents on the dollar. So it's at a great price point overall. But now I got to look for how much can the property actually go for. And it's right in the center of Black Diamond too. So let me remove some of this information or reset some of these filters. And then now I'm basically going to be looking for some similar properties. Um, so let's go with houses again. I do have to put in my lot size. So the lot size, it was 1 acre. But I can go 2,500. It doesn't let me go down as much. So I guess I can have to go half an acre all the way up to it doesn't let me do 1.5 acres. So I guess I'll have to stick with like 2 acres and see how much a lot of these properties go for. So again, going back to my data on Zillow was telling me properties can sell for 778. So now this is where I want to look for these comps. I'm looking for these comps to determine how much can it actually sell for. Now, the thing is, when I'm analyzing some of these lots in terms of acres, we have this major road, 169 route over here, where there's more activity on this left side at all whatsoever. That's something I do have to consider. But because of this property being more on the bigger lot size, that's the thing is the price point's not going to be too major on it. Just because I see some of them. Oh, the square footage as well too. How much is 2,000 square feet? Okay, I have to keep that in mind as well too. So this one is a 4,000 square foot home. Nope, I can't get that whatsoever. So there's nothing close to like 2,000 square feet. So it looks like this one's a little bit under. And let me look for some other properties that have been selling. This is 2,600. This is 1,500, but close to $680,000. The potential ARV was 780. So this is guiding me and letting me know that 780 is definitely that a reasonable price point based on the size of our property. So I'm looking how much properties are going for that's available right now in the market and pending as well too. So I went through the pending on under contract properties and 3 of them popped up. We have this one that is 725, 1,700 square foot home. That's pending and that's selling for 725. And again, our potential ARV is 780. So 2,000 square foot home with a 1.06 acre that can definitely sell for 780. That's definitely reasonable whatsoever based on what I'm seeing so far. But I need to look for comps that I can actually pull for. And this one is pending right now as well too, by the way. So this one is contingent. If we look at it, what kind of work it was done, I can tell that it was fixed up because it's staged or it's AI staged. It looks like. But this is an example of what we have to do. Just look at the flooring, look at the paints, look at the lighting, windows as well too. That chimney looks like it got updated as well too. Bathroom fully updated, kitchen fully updated. Uh, And that's pretty much it. Basement, yeah, I'm not sure if this has like a basement as well too, but also water heater that needs to get adjusted, updated utilities. Of course, the biggest thing is going to be the electricity, all those utilities have to get updated as well too, because we're talking to a 1900s home with a whole different type of wiring. Just great example over here of what we have to do to our subject property. So this could be a great comp. The only thing is it's 500 square feet higher, and I was mentioning earlier that we want to stick with plus or minus 300. So now that I'm seeing what's active right now and what has actually what's under contract at the moment, let's look at what we're able to find that is in terms of pending or have sold. I mean, what has sold in the last 6 months. So you want to stick to at least 6 months so you can see what's actually happening. And there's not a lot of activity in the last 6 months besides this one. And our subject property that sold 6 months ago is a 2,100 square foot home, and this sold for 775. So again, we're right on the price point. So our price point, our subject property can definitely sell for that $780,000 because it's gonna be it's a big home. One, by the time it gets fixed up, we're talking about 2-3 months. That's gonna be July, August. Those are going to be the hot months as well too, where a lot of people will be interested in moving, or a lot of people are interested in buying properties. And same thing, this was a recently updated, and this is in the same area, in the same neighborhood as our subject property. But same thing with this. This is the kind of work that needs to be done to our subject property. Flooring, paint, walls, bathroom, most likely kitchen. Great kitchen. Oh, this is unique. I've never seen that before. Um, Appliances as well too, electricals, just again, you name it, everything that has to be done to it, it's pretty much right over here as a great example what it can go for. And again, the other cool thing too is that our subject property is going to be selling around the hot months of July and August as well too, because it is a big home of 2,000 square feet. So now let's go through the numbers. Where would our offer line up in terms of it? And the other thing too, I am noticing is this one is a 3 bedroom, 3 bath. So we probably have to add another bathroom or maybe 2 bathrooms to our subject property. But let's see what our numbers are going to be going for. So what I'd like to do is pull up my analyzer stuff over here, and the property is going for $450,000. It's going to be a fix and flip type of property. Basements, I think it does have a basement. If I noticed it, where are you? Is it a full basement or a half basement? Let me do a control find basement. It doesn't. It's not telling me anything. All right. No basement. No basement, no basement, no basement, no basement, no basement unfinished. So it does have a basement. I don't know what the square footage is, so that's the only thing I do have to confirm. Because our subject property, or even this one, I think they did do the basement as well too. Where was it? There was like a picture of like a downstairs. Where's the picture of the downstairs? There was something with downstairs. I'm not blind. I know I saw it. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? What was that? The other subject property? I think that was the other one. Yeah, I think this is it. I think this is the basement right over here, or where I can tell just because it's closer towards there's door to like the back end or to like the backyard, whatever you want to call it. But I think that's what it is. The only thing I have to confirm is again, it's how much how big that basement is, and the square footage of our home is 2,000 square feet. I'm gonna go with 500 for right now, if anything. It is Washington, so I know Washington is very expensive. So this is gonna be a gut job type of repair subject property. If you go back to gut repairs, it's gonna be between $45 to $60 per square foot. I'm gonna go with that 55, really close to like the most I can make out of it. But I do have to add those extra 15 to $20 per square foot in terms of it. So gut job repair will be 55. I'm gonna add 20 to it, so it'll be closer to $75 per square foot. And it is a big home as well too. So that's the only thing with it. The basement, it just depends on how big it is. Honestly, the basement, $10,000 to $15,000, that should definitely be more than reasonable. That's gonna be closer to 30. Um, that should do enough of it at all. But again, it just depends on how big the basement is. So far we're looking at 166, honestly, maybe $180,000 worth of repairs, depending on the roof as well too. That's the biggest thing that we can definitely add. But again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time over analyzing repairs, because at the end of the day, if I bring $166,000 for repairs to my end buyer, they could do more, they could do less. It's really up to them at the end of the day. And some of them really negotiate, oh, this property needs almost $200,000 off in terms of repairs, and they try to negotiate with you based on that. And honestly, that's the thing I really hate, but it's just how they like to do like a lot of their business. And if it doesn't really make sense to me, honestly, like I said, $180,000 is the most that I would do if I was to do like the fix and flip deal out of it and still make a 20% out of it. So the property needs to sell, and as we checked it out earlier, the property can definitely sell for $780,000. But around July or August, we can definitely push it a lot more, depending on how rates are. Hopefully, rates maybe drop like a little bit as well too. That's what's gonna help it adjust like the price point. And if we spend more money, sometimes it can bring more value to like the property as well too. So the property can definitely resell for $793,000 in again in July or August. That's for sure. If anything, we can make some adjustments on the price point with the agent at the time, but so far the numbers really make sense in terms of it. But now, based on our research, again, if I put $790,000 as my ARV, um, if I want to fix and flip it, now it gives me how much my investors are willing to pay for this. So now I have a range. The property is selling for $450,000. It's been sitting on the market for 158 days. So the price should be definitely negotiable. If it's not negotiable, then I play the patience game. And what I mean by playing the patience game is I follow up every 2 weeks. So I can determine like, hey, I reach out to the agent, Mr. or Miss Agent, do you have any offers? I'm really serious. I'm following up with you again, letting you know how much I'm willing to pay for this property. And just because I have this range of how much my investors are willing to pay for it, I want to slowly come up to this number. So if my lowest number is 386, I'll start around 360. 360 and then try to push it again. I know I'm not guaranteed for it, but I want to slowly come up between this range right over here of 386 to 436. And as you can see, somebody who's really conservative, which you find some investors that are very like that because they like to play, maybe they like to buy and hold as well too. But we're talking about fixing and flipping this deal. If we were to buy and hold, somebody is willing to overpay for this property, somebody who's willing to spend the money, the $180,000 to fix it up, rent it out, especially in a great area as well too, with a big lot size, if anything. But honestly, I think there's more of a fix and flip type of deal. Somebody's always willing to overpay for the property overall. So to me, I'll consider this more of a fix and flip, but I definitely want to come up to this range very slowly. I don't want to just like, hey, I want to submit an offer of $386,000. Oh, it's just not. I'm trying to make a deal out of it. And if we look at it based on the pennies on the dollar or the cents on the dollar, $386,000 comparable to 790 $1,000 on what the property can go for, that's pushing at 50 cents in the dollar. I was mentioning earlier that I'm trying to get it between 45, at least like at 45 cents in the dollar. So 40 at 386, that's buying at almost 50 cents in the dollar. I can still push it, and that's what I was mentioning. If 366 on the price point of my offer being that low, and again, it's not offense to the agent, it's not no offense to the seller. It's just where the numbers will make more sense on my side. So that way I can make a little bit more money, and also my end buyer can make a little bit more money. And that's the type of relationship I want to have my end buyers, where I bring them deals that if I'm bringing deals that where they're making a good amount of money, anything that I bring them moving on forward, they'll definitely want to close as quickly as possible, just because they like that I'm actually bringing in deals. And that's what it is. This is a property that's on market. The only thing with this property is it's been sitting for a while. And so again, the green flag, it's been sitting for a while. The red flag is the seller really motivated, and are they open to negotiating as well too? Also the agent. this is the thing, because it's a property listed with an agent. Is the agent going to be really motivated on bringing a lower offer? Because now again, I'm bringing their commissions down lower. The only thing is, me as a wholesaler or me as an investor, I don't have any agent representing me, so they're able to keep both sides of the commission if the broker allows them to do so whatsoever. So they still make about the same amount of money regardless. But that's the kind of relationship I want to have with this agent, letting them know as well too that, hey, you're able to represent me. If not, if you're not able to represent me or do a dual agency, then it's perfectly fine. What I'll do is I'll bring a unrepresented offer, and that's perfectly fine. So that way they just make their commission and I make my deal. But the only thing is, now they're gonna want more out of the deal. But the thing is, if my offer gets rejected, it's perfectly fine. Play the patience game, just constantly be on top of the property, because the property has been sitting for 158 days already. And again, it's really up to the seller, because the agents have a due diligence. They have their fiduciary down to with the seller. So sometimes it could be the seller like, I'm not willing to go any lower than this. So I'm trying to figure out what the lowest number is, and just even if I get it close to like $400,000, again, that's still going to be a better deal than what it is now, because right now I'm ranging between 48 cents to 57 cents on the dollar on buying this property, to eventually fix it up and sell it for 780 to like 790 in July or August. So that's the way I'm analyzing this deal, both as a wholesaling and as an investor. I mainly focus a lot on the investor, so where I will buy, where it will make more sense for me to make this deal, and what also makes more sense for all the parties involved, the seller and also the agent as well too. And it just takes time and practice. I'm mentioning all these things as easy as it sounds, but honestly, it's just constantly practicing, and not just practicing, but actually putting some offers out there. If you start putting some offers out there, especially in a market like King County, so far there's two. I'm not sure who requested King County, but there's two properties off the bat that are really great, that have been sitting for a while. Well, the other one that we saw was sitting for like 215 days or something like that. And honestly, look at this other one, 73 days as well too. So those are the ones that you really want to tackle down, because those are the ones where you're gonna have motivated sellers. We have this other one, 67 days. But when it comes to like analyzing, collect all those properties and just analyze like the deals of first things first, analyze like the market, how much can properties go for. And again, Zillow does the homework for you, and if the city doesn't pop up on your list, let me pick like a random city over here. Um, what's in King County? Newcastle. If Newcastle is not on this list, oh, it is. Oh my God. Okay. If there's like if there's a city that is not listed on part of what's all the information that Zillow does, is all you have to do is reset your filters and type in go back to Zillow's homepage whatsoever, and then type in the name of the city. And then when you go back to that section, again, I'm just going to type in Newcastle just because that's the first one that popped up. Once you go back to looking for the results of all these properties in Newcastle or whatever city it is that you're looking for, just continue scrolling down and head over to where's it at? Where's it at? Right over here, nearby Newcastle City Homes. There's all the cities are gonna pop up that are nearby it as well too. So that's the way you're gonna. We will analyze like the market, how much can properties potentially go for, and now when you find a subject property, step number two is look for properties. Once you find one, you have to ask yourself, can the property, based on the information that Zillow is giving me, can the property sell for $1.3 million? Let's find out. Let me look for some comps, and I'm going to be looking for comps that are properties that are currently for sale. For sale means that there's it's in the time frame of the future. They still have to be sold. Properties that are on the contract or pending. These are properties that are telling you how the market is reacting currently at this moment, and properties that have sold in the past is telling you how much properties have gone or how the market has reacted in the past 6 months whatsoever. So you want to look at those three time frames, and if you're looking a lot of it, and if the price really match, a lot of the price points really match to how much the property can potentially sell for, then that's your ARV for your subject property. Now, whenever we're looking at the rehabs, again, start listing some of the things that the property needs. What does the property need? It definitely needs some new walls. Okay, let's put that into the list. It definitely needs some new electricity or new wiring for electricity. If it needs new wiring, it probably needs a new electricity panel as well too. So electricity needs to be adjusted. Definitely the lighting, bring more lighting into the property. Windows, that's something else that needs to be updated as well too. Flooring for sure, kitchen for sure, bathroom for sure. Painting, definitely let's modernize it. And the common color paints are gonna be black and white, green and white, with some light blue and white. So it depends on it. Now the extra stuff like the appliances, the maybe the foundation, if there's like any issues like that, maybe the roof, maybe what else I can think of? Um, the water heater, HVAC, just and all that stuff. That's going to be part of the expenses as well too. They are part of it to like fully update like the property, but you mainly want to focus on a lot of the major areas. So stick to the price points of that I was mentioning in terms of like the repair costs. And again, if you're in those heavy or expensive cities, add 15 to $20 more per square foot, so that way you can get like an accurate price point. But again, don't spend too much time on repairs, because at the end of the day, it's really down to your sell or to your investor or end buyer. They can spend more or they can spend less. It's really up to them. All you're bringing them is you're bringing their due diligence, you're bringing the contracts, and you're bringing them the deal, and it's like, hey, are you interested on buying this property for this much? So now where does it come to like your wholesaling offer? So back to our subject property. Our subject property was selling for 450. Our lowest price point is 386. So if you get it under contract for 390, maybe $400,000, well, what kind of, where should I bring it over to my investor? Honestly, I like to bring it to who's willing to pay the most out of it. So if I get in the contract for $400,000, I'll sell it for 430. Because again, at the end of the day, your end buyer will still want to negotiate as well too. And bringing in at 430, that saves them $20,000 out of the deal. So they're still gonna make money, because like again, depending on how much they spend on repairs, it's a plus or minus. How much can the property resell for? It's a plus or minus, but it gives them like an expectation of how much they can get, which that's what that point of the ARV is for. It gives them that expectation. But if I get on the contract for $400,000 and I try to sell my assignment of contract for to them, I want to sell it for 430. I let them know, hey, look, I'm open to negotiating as well too. You let me know what you want to offer from it for this property. If they're like, yeah, 430 is a little bit too much, well, how much would you want to offer to me? And have them give you a number, because again, I want to see where they're coming in terms of like their analysis or where their offers are lining up. And again, everything is negotiable at the end of the day too. And most likely, whatever you're selling your assignment or contract for, they still want to negotiate on that, because they're trying to get more of a deal. Again, if you have a strong relationship with a continuous buyer, then you already know you want to bring them on like a deal where they just want to like close it up and move on forward and get it done as quickly as possible. But the thing is, whenever you get a property in the contract, whatever it is that you want to sell it for, sell it reasonable, but also be mindful that it's going to be negotiable as well too. And don't be scared to honestly, I don't like to be greedy, but some of them, some wholesalers definitely like to be greedy, and they like to like oversell their property, sell it for like 400. For example, if our property is for 450, they'll sell it for 440, 445. That's not a deal whatsoever. So I want to bring it reasonable, where at least I make $20,000, $25,000 per wholesale deal. I'm okay if it's 15. Hey, as long as you're happy, the end buyer's happy, the seller's happy, the agent's happy, I'm happy. All right, let's get this done, sign it up, and let's move on forward to the next project whatsoever. So just be mindful of that, but just know that it is okay for you to sell it for more than what a lot of buyers are willing to pay for. It's just be mindful that some of them are gonna want to negotiate on your deal whatsoever. Um, If there's any other cities that you guys want me to analyze or any other counties, by all means. But hopefully, whoever requested King County, we just found a great amount of properties over here in King County. Overall, there's the two of them that we came across. Which ARV calculator is that? Yeah, it's mine that I designed based on how my buyers how I come across common buyers. And so um the calculator is mine. If you want to have access to it or get it, it's on my website at eltonvargas.com. But it just gives me there's common investors or same common strategies out there where somebody's willing to like overpay, somebody's willing to like underpay. But at least it gives me like a range of how much they're willing to offer and also their profit. So I know how much an investor is going to be making out of the deal as well too. And if I'm making $20,000, $30,000, like, look, you're making $120,000, maybe more out of this deal as well too, because they're making 20% out of it. Like, if this deal doesn't fit your profit dollar or your margins, then then you're not my buyer at all whatsoever. Like, I know for sure here in California, if I find a property and they're making $120,000, they'll be more than satisfied. That's like two deals for them whatsoever. So it's really, again, are going to come across some greedy investors that they're going to be lowballing you as well too. So you got to play aggressive on a lot of these deals. That's both with sellers, and that's also including with investors as well too, because some of them like to be very, very greedy at all whatsoever. But again, I like to call it out. I like to put all the information. So whenever I pitch the information to them, I let them know what the ARV is, what I'm selling the property for, most important thing. I show them whenever I need it, they're requesting for the information. This is not like I want to showcase all the information off the bat. I like to go fishing, so I like to see who's interested on this deal, or who's potentially interested in the deal, how much they're willing to pay for it. But I also like to put in their profit, how much the potential profit is on this deal, and of course the amount of repairs the property needs as well too, or potential repairs. Again, at the end of the day, the repairs are plus or minus, but the ARV is could be the key thing, and just them seeing the profit or the potential profit as well too is like, all right, cool. If this is going to be um profit after everything. It's like, yeah, this is gonna be your profit after all expenses, after your all-in money, and then after your resale value of it, it'll probably be a little bit less, maybe like $5,000, $10,000 less, depending on the closing costs as well too, because part of the deal is the end buyer is gonna be paying the closing costs as well too. Um, so that's pretty much everything I like to put into it. And if they're interested on the deal, cool. They should be interested in buying it at my asking price. But again, I'm open to negotiating because again, I know a lot of them will be even $5,000 of a difference. Like, all right, cool, take it. I'm trying to get rid of it as quickly as possible and just put all the information to them in front of them so that way they can analyze and make their decision on it. Sometimes some of them like to play the game of, oh, I want to check out the property in person so I can determine what it is. And that's basically them try to bait you into I want to see how much the actual repairs are needed, because if it needs more than 160, then I'll definitely want to negotiate. Yeah, I already know that trick. Nothing new to me. Like, if it doesn't fit you, then I'll play the waiting game and find somebody else. So those are key things. Hopefully that's able to help you guys out. I'll leave it open for some Q&A if you guys happen to have like any questions at all whatsoever, anything you want me to touch up, or if you want to analyze another market outside of Washington, since we did Washington just now. If you have any other markets, by all means, you can drop your markets or counties in the chat. Or if you guys have any questions, I'll leave it open for some questions.
I had a quick question. What are some like quick ways to determine if you should fix and flip or buy and hold?
Um,
Not sure
Honestly,
if this is for this video, but
so it really depends on rates. That's the biggest thing is
Mm,
because biggest thing with buying and holding right now is rates are high, but once rates drop, the prices are good of the properties, especially depending on where the property is located. There as soon as the rates start dropping back to 4% even, that's probably like the lowest that we're gonna get for a long time. Um, the property's value is going to be picking up a lot significantly. In you're going to be able to do a refinance around that point. The only thing is with buying and holding and refinancing is there's talks about when it comes to refinancing in the future, once rates start dropping, if you buy a property at a high interest rate now and then refinance later on, is they're gonna bring the cost of refinancing. So usually refinancing costs, what are they, like $2,000, 15, 2,000, $3,000. They're gonna what the feds are gonna end up doing, they're gonna end up the banks are gonna do is they're gonna double the price of refinancing in the future. So it makes sense because everybody's going to want to refinance once rates start dropping as low as, again, as low as 4%, maybe even 5% as well too. So if you're okay with that, of like paying double later on, and just because the rates are dropping, that's perfectly fine. But the thing with buying and holding is it's always recommended to buy and hold just because properties pick up more in value. And again, biggest thing right now is definitely going to be those rates at all. So usually the buy and hold strategy is going to be 10 to 15 years. That's usually like the time frame that I've know that I learned that a lot of investors like to do in terms of like refinancing. So if that strategy makes really great sense, buying and holding and refinancing later on, so that way you have tax-free money to make other investments or to spend it onto your like enter yourself, then that strategy by all means look into it. But now looking into the repairs, what kind of condition the property has, then you want to look for, if you're looking for buy and holding, you want to look for properties where the tenant is either underpaying and you want to have like the property vacant and bring new tenants in so that way you can raise up like the rents, bring it up to the current rent markets. And additionally too is if the property needs some type of repairs, you want to look for very light repairs as well too. Those light repairs, again, it's gonna be paints, maybe just change some of the appliances, maybe bring new color scheme to like the property as well too. Maybe change, take out the carpet and then put all hardwood floor or LVP into it. So you want to do very minimal stuff at all whatsoever. And then from there, again, have the property management rent it out for you and all that, get it done for you. Now for the fix and flipping is pretty much simple. There's a crappy home or the property needs a lot of repairs and updates. I just want to get out the way, get my money in, and then whatever I want to do with this money. So, for example, the subject property that we're looking at, $120,000 in profit. What do I want to do with that profit? Do I want to invest it for the next project, or do I want to buy a buy and hold property? And especially in a lot of Midwest states and states, you can do a mix of both. So it depends on what you want to do with that fix and flip money. Where I know for sure, if you have $120,000 in your pocket from a fix and flip deal, if you look for a property in the Midwest for $100,000 and then you put 10% down on a property plus closing costs, you're spending $14,000. So you're like, cool. And not only I get to buy and hold one property where it's fully updated, the tenant's actually right on the market rent, right on the market rent as well too, but also the property's just condition is great overall. That's something that you can do. So there's a great amount of strategies that you can do, but also determine like what is it that you want to do with the money at the end of the day. If you want to buy and hold and refinance, or if you want to fix and flip and then mix it up a little bit of fixing and flipping and buying and holding as well too. But things to consider is definitely the condition of the property, and then the market of the property. And your subject property that you're looking into, is it undervalued in terms of like how much is it going for and how much can it resell for? And also in buy and holding, is it under rented or is it right at the rental market as well too? And what kind of condition is the property in? So those will be like my three factors: condition of the property and the value in terms of like the rent or the price of the property. And the end of it will be the strategy. What is it that I want to do with what's my end game strategy and what I want to do with that money at the end of the day? Do I want to buy more, or do I want to put it invest it into the business of getting more fixing and flip deals, or do I want to start putting some money where it can start generating me some revenue in terms of buying and holding?
Thank you.
Hopefully that's able to answer your question. Um, Steve, hi Elton, do you think once the rate go down, more properties will put a market for sale? Once rates drop, there's gonna be a good amount of properties going out for sale, except the only thing is they're gonna be very expensive. I heard about some experts mentioning before. I'm wondering if it can go both way. What do you think? Yeah, some people are definitely gonna want to sell, but again, the price points are gonna be very, very expensive, Steve. Do I have the CRM? Yes, I think I dropped the link on the in the chat. Um, Here, I'll send it one more time. The CRM is available on the link that I just put in there all the way at the bottom. So it has like the steps for you. So these are my steps whenever I'm looking for like some deals or analyzing. You guys can see we have some of these previous ones that I've analyzed. Um, Overall, but my first step is look into the markets, like how if I'm looking into whatever market I'm looking into, I want to determine how much can properties go for and where will my deals line up based on those properties. Next is I want to look for investors. And how do you look for investors? The way you look for investors is pay attention to how the property looks. So right over here, I'm just randomly looking for some properties, and they're gonna have that I was mentioning, like a color scheme. Properties are gonna have like a color scheme of black and white, green and white, blue and white. It's just some type of mix of white. And here off the bat, this is a fix and flip investor over here. The only thing is what makes it a fix and flip investor is how long ago did they buy it, and um how much did they buy it for? If they bought it for a lot less. So as you can see, this one with the last time it sold is 1988. So this is probably the homeowner. They ended up fixing up the property. They probably picked up some money from somewhere and they updated the property. So this is not going to be a fix and flip investor whatsoever. So I want to look for one where they've done some type, they bought it within the last 6 to 12 months and they're putting it in the market right now currently. And what I want to do is I want to reach out to the agents. This is one way. I want to reach out to the agents and let them know, like, hey, I have this project in the same area that you're selling at the moment. I'm curious to see if your investor or your seller might be interested in doing like another project. If they happen to be like a fix and flip investor, um, if they do, let me know so I can provide them all the information. And here's one right over here. This is a fix and flip investor off the bat. It was sold in October 4th, 2023 for $275,000. And right now they have it listed for $600,000. Um, so that's a great deal off the bat. How much did they end up buying it for? 275 divided by $600,000. $600,000. So they bought it around 45 cents on the dollar. So they bought, and I don't know what kind of condition the property was around that time. It looks like it was a public record. It wasn't listed on the MLS around that time, but that's the reality. And I was mentioning earlier, pushing my offer lower than what it actually needs to be, it's perfectly fine. It's no offense to the agent, it's no offense to the seller and the sellers and the property. It's just what makes really sense on what makes it like a deal. And like I said, somebody's always willing to like overpay, and I don't know what the condition of this property was, how much work it was done to it, but that's the reality of it. That's the truth reality of what makes like a deal work. And same thing, it's over 1,000 square feet. And how old is this property? 1959 as well too. So this is for sure a fix and flip investor. So I'll reach out to the agent. Hey, Mr. Miss Agent, I actually have a property in another city. I'm not sure if your investor is looking you can say if it's another city or if it's nearby the same city as this one in Renton, Washington. I'm actually interested I have another project opportunity for your seller. I'm not sure if they're interested on looking for another project themselves. It's in the city, and again, if they're interested, they can relist with you as well too. So when I tell agents, especially the agents that are working with sellers that are fixing and flipping, is bringing them a deal where they know for sure that, hey, I'm bringing you this deal, Mr. Seller. If you want to, I can sell it for you, depending on how we do with this one as well too. So it depends on that relationship, but I'm looking for buyers. And if I'm not able to find buyers through there whatsoever, there's this other platform called PropWire. You use PropWire, PropStream, or whatever those platforms you want to use to find buyers. You can use them as well too. But what's going on? Come on, internet. What do you mean? But basically, with these buyers, you're basically going to be looking for cash buyers, same thing, that have sold or bought a property in the last 6 or 12 months, and you're able to pull out their information whatsoever. I don't know what's going on with this. Come on. But this is PropWire. It's not a subscription base. It's just a free platform that you can look for. And then right here, it gives you some options, some lead types. So flip properties or some cash buyers. Where they at? Oh, right here, cash buyers. You select the list, and depending on the city, you put in your city and select like single family homes, whatsoever. So cash buyers and flip properties. Those two will give you like the option to have it from there. So that way it pulls up the list of buyers that have been active in the last 6 to 12 months. And then from there, you're gonna be able to find some buyers. And the cool thing with this is um, it lets you skip trace through here. King County, Washington. So let me just pull an example. So this is one of them that was a cash buyer, possibly. Let me check out the history. They bought it in June. Yep, bought it in June. This is not a fix and flip investor. Um, but this is a construction one. So the way we'll do it is, if this was a fix and flip investor, I would just skip trace through here, pay the 10 cents, and then bam, that's it. That's how you're able to skip trace through this platform on PropWire from how you're able to find buyers. So one way is look for properties that look like they're fix and flipped and reach out to the agents. Or the other one, use platforms like PropWire, that's free, or PropStream. It is subscription, so it's like $100 a month. But it gives you more information from there. Let me see. There's more other questions. More listings should make price go low, isn't it? Not if the rates are gonna be really low at all whatsoever. So once rates start coming down low, Steve, yes, if there's more supply than demand, and that's the thing. But a lot of people are literally just waiting, sitting on the silence right now for rates to drop. So yeah, the demand is still going to be really high, and then the supply is still going to be high. So the prices are still going to be reasonably higher than what they are right now. How do you structure the earnest money? What do you mean? How you structure the earnest money? Like to the seller directly. Usually the way it goes with earnest money, you do two things. You either pay $500 to like $1,000, or two is you pay 1% of the price point. So if our property is listed for $599,000, my earnest money will be 1%, is very common use. So use 1% of that, which will be $5,000, almost $6,000 on this case. So you can use 1%, or if you're working with sellers directly, you can do 500 to like $1,000. But make sure part of your earnest money set up a contingency. And what I mean by contingency is make sure that you set up an inspection period as one of your contingencies. And if you're satisfied during that inspection period, then you won't get your earnest money back. What's gonna end up you lose your earnings if you happen to cancel like the contract. But if you're not satisfied with everything, because part of the inspection period, you're doing a few things. You're preparing the property for marketing, so you can bring it to end buyers. And then two, if you're locally, if you're in the area and you have like a lockbox on the property, if the property is vacant, of course, um, and investors or buyers want to look at the property in person, they need to have access to it. Then you need to have they want to come in person to like check it out as well too. And you want to do all that during your inspection period. So you're
How
going to be
long
getting
do
a lot
you
of feedback.
how long do you usually give yourself for that inspection period, or is there like a right
Um,
amount of time
So you
that?
can do two things. You can do calendar days. And what I mean by calendar days is consecutive days. So you can do most is like 15. Least lowest it will be any 10 days. So you can do calendar days or you can do business days. And what business days are is Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. through 5 p.m. Those are the days and the times that so that'll be 5 business days, Monday to Friday. That's 5 days. So if you do 15 days, it'll be basically 3 weeks. So it's going to be a little bit longer with business days. So I let sellers know, or even agents know, like those are the days that we like to work in. We like to have like our weekends off because usually agents are busy with showings on Saturdays and Sundays, so we don't like to get involved with that. A lot of construction guys are really off on Saturdays and Sundays as well too. So you can set up one of those 2 days. The most common one is calendar days all the time. It's just business day sets up a different type of like feel of it. And you want to make yourself like unique in some type of way with sellers and agents as well too, depending on who you like to work with. But you can do one of those 2 days. But 15 the most. If you can get more, by all means, it's even better for you. But at least 10 to like 12 days, honestly, nothing less than that whatsoever. Unless you already partner up with somebody who gives you like the money and you're working on the deal, bringing them deals, and you guys can close quicker, then by all means close quicker. But even so, even with that, you still want to have an inspection period of at least 7 days. If you happen to work with somebody like side by side, where they give you the money and you bring them the properties, then you guys have that ball rolling, then at least 7 days. So that way, again, you don't have different type of specialists. If you bring a general contractor that you have a relationship with, this could be a general contractor, but you want to bring like an electrician, you want to bring someone who just focuses on walls, someone who focuses on just remodeling kitchens. Like you want to bring like different type of people that are specialized on something specifically. Sometimes it's a little bit more costlier, but it's just the results are going to be a lot better than somebody who does a bit of everything. So it just depends again what best works for you, and again what kind of skills that person has at the end of the day. But inspection wise, 10 to 12 minimum. Uh, any other questions by any chance? If there's any? Oh, no, no. Well, that's pretty much a wrap for today, guys. If you guys want to touch back bases on anything, remember the recordings are available on the real estate educational side on the website, and additionally to there's other recordings as well. If you want to have access to the CRM, I put the link to it as well too. You just have to head over to the calculator side. That's where it is. I think I might have messed up on that. I'll drop it one more time. Let me see if I can find it. Any other questions you guys have, you can always message me on Meetup. If you want to set up a one-on-one, I do set up one-on-ones as well too. Um, if you guys have any further questions or you need help with anything specifically in terms of like real estate wholesaling or investing, let me just put this over here. But that's access to the CRM right there. I put the link in there. So if you guys have anything else, by all means, let me know right now, or forever hold your peace. If not, you can hold your peace until Sunday. That is the next event that we'll be hosting at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But if there's nothing else, I really appreciate you guys coming in. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a blessed rest of the day. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.